Hello, this is Heath Johnson with NCSI. I'd like to show you how to require that all risk level questions in a change request be answered. All right, well, let's get started. Out of the box, if I open up a change, the risk level questions are not required to be answered. One of the suggestions is to make the risk level field have some sort of value in it. The challenge with this, or the problem with this, is all I need to do is answer one question, and the risk level is assigned, and I have met that required field if I set a business rule to do that. So what I'm going to show you is a way to make sure that all these questions, or whatever questions you have, are answered. And how we do that is, first, let's go switch the role to Change Manager. Open the Risk Calculator workspace. And for each of these questions, I'm going to add an answer. And the answer is going to be select a valid answer. And then the weight, I'm going to add in a large negative number. And then check the default box. And I'm going to do that for each of these questions. Okay, I'm just going to double check to make sure they're all there. And you can do this. These are the out of the box questions. You can do this with any of your own questions. And I'm going to save it. And I'm going to refresh my screen because sometimes the first answer gets moved up from the bottom, which it still stayed at the bottom, which is good. Now, normally when I do this, I put this answer at the top and move everything down. So the select the valid answer is the first answer. But for sake of time, I'm just going to add them at the bottom, and I think you'll get the point. Okay, so let's go back. Let's close that out. And let's open up the change workspace. We're just going to see if, okay, so we do have, make sure our answers are there. Now I'm going to create a new change. I'm just going to call this test 1. And save it. Click on the risk level. Now you'll notice that select the valid answer is under each of the questions, and it should be the default for every single one. When you look at the risk level, what you'll notice is it starts off with a -1,000, and as I select an answer, it gets closer to 0 or the 100. In order for the risk level on the details page to be assigned, the risk level value on the question has to be at least a 1 or higher. And so as I select all these, you notice that the value keeps getting closer to 0 or a positive number. And then once I select the last one, then it puts me over into the range where I need to be. So in this case, it's 82. If I go back to any of the other questions and I change it back to select the valid answer, it puts me in the negative, and then I won't have a risk level assigned. Now this is going to be important because we're going to create a validation rule to take care of that. So now I have risk level, let's save it. If I go to details, now I have my risk levels high, so that's important. The next step, so this is part of the configuration. The next step is to go back into the administrator role, and open up the configuration console, select business objects, select change, then business rules, and let's create a validation rule. So we're going to validate it on update, and the expression we're going to validate against is the risk level is not null or not empty, and the status is, or the status is equal to logged. And then the message we'll type in there is this one, and you can put any message you want in there. And then we're going to name this risk level questions required. Okay, I'm going to come back to my application interface, refresh. Now if I do a new change, we're going to call this test 2. Now I should not get a warning because it's still logged, so I can still save it. But once I try to change this to requested and I try to save it, I get a pop-up from the validation rule saying that all risk level questions need to be answered, which is good. Let's click on risk level. Let's just change one answer. We'll save it, and I get prompted again for the same message. So it's not until I answer all these questions, and as you can see, the negative value is getting closer to 1 or positive. And then once I answer the last question, I actually get a risk level, and I can see that here on the details tab. And now I should be able to save it and move the change request through the approval process. So it's a little creative way to make this work, but it does work. So hopefully this helps some of you out there. Appreciate you taking the time to watch this video, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks.